The moment you let go of control, life begins. But think about how much energy we spend every single day trying to control things that are far beyond us. We try to control how people see us, how our future unfolds, how our relationships should go, even how our own emotions should behave. We make plans, we create routines, we set expectations. And when life doesn't follow our script, we feel anxious, angry, or defeated. Carl Jung believed that this obsession with control is one of the greatest barriers to living fully. The ego, the conscious part of us, clings to order, to predictability, to safety. But life itself is wild, unpredictable, and filled with mystery. The unconscious, fate, synchronicity, they don't follow our rules. And when we cling too tightly, we cut ourselves off from the very flow that makes life meaningful. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It doesn't mean chaos. It means opening ourselves to the reality that life has its own intelligence, often far greater than our limited plans. Jung would say, only when you stop trying to force life can you finally live it. We are taught from a young age that control is strength. Get good grades, plan your career, manage your finances, keep your emotions in check. Control seems like the recipe for a safe and successful life. But Carl Jung noticed something deeper. What we call control is often just an illusion. Think about it. No matter how carefully you plan, life interrupts. A sudden illness, a betrayal, an accident, or even a random encounter can completely shift your path. The unconscious, nature, and the world around us don't always obey our plans. And yet, we cling harder, as if sheer willpower could bend reality into our design. Jung compared the psyche to an ocean. The ego, our conscious mind, is just a small boat floating on the surface. It believes it commands the sea, but the waves, the storms, the deep currents below, all of that is far beyond its reach. We don't control life, we navigate it. And the paradox is this: the tighter we grip, the more fragile we feel. Like sand slipping through our fingers, life resists control. The more we demand certainty, the more anxious we become. If letting go can bring freedom, then why do we resist it so fiercely? The answer lies in the nature of the ego. The ego wants to be in charge. It wants to be the hero of the story, the one who knows exactly what to do. Control gives the ego a sense of identity. I am the one who decides. I am the one who shapes my life. To loosen that grip feels like a threat, almost like death. Jung often reminded us that the ego is only a fragment of the psyche, not the whole. Imagine a small child holding the steering wheel of a car, convinced they are driving, while in truth the car is being guided by forces far greater. That is how our ego behaves when it clings to control. Another reason it's so difficult is fear. Fear of uncertainty. Fear of what will happen if we are not in command. We imagine that letting go means chaos, that if we don't tightly script our lives, everything will collapse. But in reality, it is often the opposite. The moment we relax our grip, we create space for flow, creativity, and unexpected opportunities to arise. It feels terrifying at first, because surrender means stepping into the unknown. But Jung believed that only in the unknown do we encounter transformation. That is where the unconscious begins to speak, where synchronicities emerge, and where our true life begins to unfold. Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video. Your support helps more people discover these ideas. And if you're enjoying this journey into the mysteries of the mind, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, back to the video. Carl Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity, those meaningful coincidences that feel as if life itself is speaking to us. You think of an old friend, and suddenly they call. You struggle with a decision, and then you stumble upon a book, a phrase, or even a stranger's words that bring clarity. These are not random accidents. Jung believed they are moments where the inner world and the outer world align. But here's the important part. Synchronicities rarely happen when we are forcing. They do not appear when we are rigidly clinging to control. They emerge when we are open, receptive, and willing to trust. Think of it like walking through a forest. If you only stare at the path you drew on a map, you'll miss the signs around you, the sounds of birds, the hidden trails, the unexpected beauty. But when you lift your head, when you trust the journey rather than obsess over the map, the forest begins to reveal itself. This is what letting go allows. A dialogue with life. Instead of commanding, we begin to listen. Instead of demanding certainty, we allow meaning to unfold. Trust does not mean passivity. It means cooperation with something larger than ourselves. When synchronicities happen, it feels as if the universe is whispering, "You are not alone. There is a deeper order here. Trust me." And that whisper can only be heard once we loosen our grip on control. To surrender does not mean to give up. It does not mean becoming passive, lazy, or careless. True surrender is an act of courage. It is the willingness to say, "I may not know exactly where life is leading me, but I trust that the path itself will teach me." Carl Jung often spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole. And individuation requires surrender. Because wholeness cannot be forced, it cannot be engineered like a project. It unfolds naturally when we allow the unconscious, dreams, intuition, and even life struggles to shape us. Think of water. When you try to force it into a rigid form, it resists. But when you allow it to flow, it finds its way around obstacles, over rocks, carving valleys, creating new life wherever it moves. The power of surrender is like water. It may appear soft, but it is unstoppable. When we surrender control, something unexpected happens. The weight we carried begins to dissolve. The anxiety of "what if" loses its grip. Instead of fighting with life, we begin to flow with it. And in that flow, we discover a freedom the ego could never create. Surrender is not weakness. It is alignment with reality. It is the choice to live in harmony with what is, rather than endlessly struggle against it. And paradoxically, the moment we stop trying to control life is the moment we finally begin to shape it, authentically, naturally, in rhythm with our deeper self. This is the essence of letting go. When we stop clinging to control, we create space for the unconscious to rise, for life to show us its hidden wisdom. Think about it. So much of your suffering comes not from life itself, but from the fight against it. The endless planning, the what-if scenarios, the desperate need to predict and manage every detail. But life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be lived. The moment you let go, you stop living in resistance. You begin to notice synchronicities. You hear the quiet voice of intuition, and you feel carried by something larger than yourself. You stop surviving, and you begin to live. So, I leave you with this question. What part of your life are you holding on to so tightly that it's keeping you from truly living? And what would happen if you simply released your grip? If this message resonates with you, give this video a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more Jung-inspired reflections. See you in the next video.